This episode is proudly supported by Anchor Food Professionals, makers of mainland cheese. Here's Andy Sy from the Notting Hill Hotel.
We've been using them for a few years now, using their tasty and mozzarella cheese. We go through about 135 kilos a week at the moment. So a huge number. So we use it for our garlic bread, our pizzas, our parmas, our bechamel, our cheese sauce for our croquettes and arancini, throughout our lasagnas, anywhere we can really. It's such a good product. You know, having the freshest chips to your fresh chicken to a freshly crumbed schnitzel and topping up with a really high quality cheese is amazing.
For more information, go to anchorfoodprofessionals.com.
You know, that might have been how Earl started 15, 16 years ago, but it's not where our customers position us now. And I feel like there's an opportunity for us to do other things. And so we do, we have.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Today we have somewhat of a regular on Deep in the Weeds, but a lot has changed since we last caught up. Jackie Middleton is the co-founder of Earl Canteen, Dame Melbourne and Golden Coffee Bar. Jackie, how are you?
I'm great.
You've been on the show quite a few times, but so much has changed since I think we last caught up just before you opened Dame. How are things at the moment?
Things are great. Yeah, it's that's been a while. I think, is that 4 years? Yeah, it's been a busy time, but I think we're in hospitality. It's always busy, so that's good. I would rather be busy than not, as we've all experienced. But I think things are good. It's in a really interesting spot for me at the moment. I feel like I'm in a bit of a transformation about what I'm doing professionally, from what I have done to where I'd like to go. So it's an interesting time to talk.
Well, your career is always evolving, and so is your company. That's why it's always great to catch up with you, because there's always so much going on. As we mentioned, caught up with you just before Dame opened. If you think back to what Dame was in concept and you opening compared to sort of what's things like now?
Dame, I smashed it actually. Like the concept, what I thought the concept was going to be is what it really is. And that's really interesting, because at the time, I look back at Dame and think we had far too much time to think about that concept, but we got it exactly right. Dame is essentially a fancy cafe, and people use it exactly like that. It's an amazing location at the top end of Collins Street. You can actually see the trams going by. It's very Melbourne. It's lots of glass, lots of light, and it's a really great professional environment. It's going really well where, you know, it operates under management. So really, Sam and I offer a mentorship type role to that business and oversee what's going on. And I spend my time talking to nice people like you, or working around ways to promote our businesses that are helpful for the future growth of where we'd like to see not just Dame, but other businesses like Earl, which is now coming up 16 years old, and Golden, our newish business this year. So, yeah.
It's interesting because you created such an incredible model for Earl, and I know that sort of changed and transformed out of COVID as well with what you were doing with that. But was it challenging sort of bringing a different model in, as in Dame, when running a model like that for so long with Earl?
It was challenging, but I think it was ideal. I really realised coming out of COVID and that I was quite a creative person and really enjoyed the opportunity to not just tweak an Earl concept and make it more fit for purpose, more dynamic, more adjustable, more more aligned with our customers and what their needs were, whether it was a particular site, a different location, an airport, or whatever that might be. But taking a different concept and spreading our professional wings into a new concept like Dame, and then new things this year. I think that opportunity to do Dame really made me realise that was what a bit of a calling was for me. It really made me rethink about what I should be doing. what I'm good at, what I like to do.
Now, you mentioned Golden Coffee Bar, and it's relatively new. Tell us about it and how did it come about?
Golden came about essentially. Dame was a challenging build because it was in COVID, but also because the site was pre-existing. It was a base build from our landlord had built a lobby space, and they wanted a cafe in there, and a lot of the services that were put in place were a little bit dysfunctional. And so it was a challenging development because of that. Our landlord came to us after Dame was so successful so early on and said, we're doing the same to the other building. Can you give us some insight in what we can do to get the other one right? And the long and the short of it was, I was like, great, this is a perfect opportunity to have a little vent about what were some of the hard things. So we went into a few meetings and gave them some advice about how to do it better. And it kept going along. And suddenly, like, you're taking the lease, aren't you? And we're like, no, 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 no. So essentially, the opportunity for the site, the other entry cafe to the other building at Collins Place became an option for us. And to be honest, I knew what it needed to be. I feel like I know that site inside out, back to front. And I felt like professionally, did I want to do another sandwich concept, which is what it probably needed to be, another coffee sandwich concept? And so I'm like, professionally, no. But I think as a growth for our business, we need to be getting more people to be collaborating with. So I had, Sam and I had this great idea to do a coffee, more of a fourth wave coffee concept, really, because we're playing towards the realm of signature drinks, with whether it's a really fancy strawberry matcha or whether it's, gingerbread lattes or crackle cups that we're launching next week, or things like this, things that are more interesting to Gen Zs. And then using that as a backbone with toasties. So I caught up a friend that I'd met professionally a couple of years before and said, hey, we've got this site. We need a toasty concept. You do amazing toasties with your business. Would you like to be involved? And we went from there. So it's actually our first collaboration project with another business partner. Huck has a cheese business at Queen Vic Market called Ripe, Australian-only cheeses and charcuterie. And we decided to do that. So Golden came about because of the Dame backstory and it needing some development work. We had the opportunity for that. And so it kind of made sense that if there was going to be another cafe opposite Dame, that we would want to make sure that it was complementary, I guess. And that's not just to our benefit as business people, because it absolutely is, but it's also a benefit to the building as well, that the user experience means that it's not two of the same things opposite each other. So Golden came about because of that. And it's a beautiful, very slick, creamy colours and golden with a gold inlaid glass bench and stuff. It's very glamorous, very lobby space. But yeah, our first collaboration project. So it's kind of trucking along and again, under management. And we're really proud that we've achieved this from operators that have worked hands-on in our business 15 years ago to now being able to open a new concept that is really just someone else, us mentoring into our role.
Yeah, I'm interested about the collaboration thing. You said it's the first time, but did that take some adjusting? What's that process been like rather than sort of just going at a project on your own?
Yeah, it is a learning curve for us. It has been a learning curve that we've worked on for a while. We have the airport Earl sites and they are collaborative projects. So they're partnerships that we have with Delaware North and Emirates Leisure Retail. So the way that those relationships are is they essentially license our brand to operate now in Melbourne, Sydney and Adelaide Airport. We had the pleasure last year of opening 2 airport sites in 1 week. So, it's all very hospitality. You always think that the timeline's going to end up being a few months apart, and then it ends up being the same week that we open Sydney and Adelaide. So that was fun, a bit of a fly-in. A lot of the work that I do now is the creative end. So the work I'm doing is months and months ahead, whether it's the design and concepting, and then Simon's the one that's really flying around, making sure that the teams are supported and know what's going on and doing that type of work. So, building on the skills that we learnt from those types of relationships is what really helped us, I guess, with Gold and thinking about it very strategically about what was important. So the different skill bases we needed in business partners. So Huck is taking care of the food. So this is the first hospitality concept that I'm not running the food program. He's doing the food. And you have to ask him how that's going, because we have some very interesting meetings where he'll be talking with me about amazing ideas. Like, he's the ideas guy. And I'll be like, I don't think the costing of that's going to work. So it's challenging him. You can interview him about that. But I think that we're really realistic about what's important now. I think back at some of the chats we've had in the past, Huck, it's really made me realise how much of a business person I've become, not just a hospitality operator, and understanding the numbers and how critical that is. So we're not another one of these businesses you read about in the paper that won't be opening in the future. So understanding the numbers are critical, and understanding how our business relationship can make that right by monthly meetings and trying to keep in our lane.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up the airports. Tell us about the Earl offering in that regard. Was there an adjustment to be made? Is the audience different to, the ones that like in the centre of Melbourne? Like, how did the model change to work?
The airports are interesting. The model is slightly different. So Earl in the city has always been a made-to-order food component plus a ready-to-go component. It helps with speed and a lot of other things that a corporate space needs. We think of Earl Emporium Shopping Centre as being more of a leisure market business, and the airports definitely are that as well, despite a lot of, we're at T3 at Melbourne Airport, which is the Virgin Pier, so a lot of corporate people coming through and know our brand there, and they are very much corporate travellers, except for obviously school holidays and things like that. But the demographics of what people eat at the airport is so different to the city. Croissants for days. It's crazy. I realised some of the things that we did so well at with Earl, with having a salad packaging that can fit in your handbag and the rice not fall out into the base, ticks so many boxes for an airport as well, right? Having fast coffee systems and the grab and go range is essential for the airport. So airports don't have made to order food at this stage. Watch this space, because we're diversifying the model a little bit at the moment with kiosks, which actually makes things a little bit faster. So you're not queuing with your box of sandwich and ordering your coffee, you're just tapping it in yourself, and so speeding up that transaction. So taking out the made to order food is the key difference from the city, but also hot grab and go. So having a ham and cheese croissant that's already hot in a display, or having a pie that's ready to go. So just diversifying that a little bit. The thing that's really cool is, we talked to the team in Adelaide, and people are coming and actually making a buying decision in Adelaide Airport because they know the Earl brand from Melbourne. It's so flattering, so nice. It is very humbling. But it's the way that works. It's the way that I travel as well. If I understand a brand, if I'm in Sydney and I'm out and about and I see that brand that I know, that I respect, I'll be more confident to have a coffee there than another place that I don't know. It makes sense.
It's fascinating to hear you talk about the growth of your business, not just hospitality operator, but as a business person. Were there some key moments in the last, 5-10 years that have helped shape that for you to become more of a consultant and advisor and steer you in that direction?
I think so. Because I've worked creatively across a few different parts of the business, so from obviously food design to then store design, and really my voice, my personal voice, whether it was typing on Twitter back in the day or then Instagram and our websites and things, that marketing voice has always been mine as well. So I've realised that those things really nicely came together, that I've been very fine-tuned into the customer experience. component that feels so essential in hospitality now more than ever, because people really care that if they're going to go out and have their coffee, whether they're spending $5 or whether they're spending more at many places, it's about how they feel when they're doing that. So I feel like for me, I've been working towards this, but not quite realizing I'm working towards this. Identifying what's critical in our business that our customers have felt comfortable, that evolved into thinking about how the different demographics of a Dame customer or the different demographics of a Golden customer want to feel. Or when we're doing some tweaks for the airport location. So Earl at Melbourne Airport will be having a small renovation coming up early next year. I'm thinking it will be at this stage because they've incorporated self-service kiosks. And how do we ensure that the way that customer engages with that is achieving all of the metrics, whether it's the speed of service, the average spends, all these types of boring things, but things that are essential. So I've realised that I guess it's cafe university, but you learn on the job and you never stop learning in hospitality, I feel. And it's sometimes you have to stop and take a step back and realise that, I'll sit in a meeting with people that were just doing hospitality planning for a job, and I would be the one that is going, but we don't need to put hot water into that area because we only need hot water for the hand washing. We don't need it for the coffee machine or all these other things. And I know that because I've done 15 cafe designs, and this other person is just the plumber that usually puts hot water in there, and they don't know why. They just do it. I'm the one that's probably paid more because I've put that in and then realised, we don't actually need that. So I've learned a lot along the way and realised I'll sit into meetings and have thoughts, and I've always been willing to share my opinions on things, and I think that's given me a good stead, but that I have that confidence to know that I've done it for 15 years, 16 years now of my own businesses, and that actually is saying something.
Melbourne has transformed quite a lot since COVID, affected heavily by COVID and the lockdowns, and then no people in the city and all of those sort of things. Where do you see hospitality now? Your business has evolved and what you offer, but how do you see the industry now so many years on? Are we heading towards a good place with hospitality?
I think we are. I confidently say that if you are still worried about, this is a post-COVID environment, then you're not trying hard enough, really. What we have now is the new normal. As a cafe operator in Melbourne City, it's really a 4.5 day a week operation that we trade now. So, Monday and Friday are both soft. And if you have a day like today in Melbourne, it's bucketing raining, and it would have been a great peak day for people to say, it's too hard, I'm not going to come in, and I'll work from home. So I haven't looked at the numbers for the business today, but I can guarantee that will be quieter today than what we would anticipate just because it's weather. So things are different, but we have to adapt to that, and we have adapted to that. It's never been harder to make money. Like, I honestly feel like unless you know your numbers intuitively, you don't stand a chance. And that saddens me quite a lot, because I think a lot of people that are starting out really are a little naive, and we were very naive when we started. I knew my numbers and I knew how much things cost, but the way that Simon and I run our numbers now across our group, this is something new to us. People don't know this. I don't sit toe-to-toe with other hospitality people, and it's very few people that can know this amount of information that we know, and it's essential to being a debt-free hospitality group, which is what we are. So it's extraordinary that we've come out the other end, and we can say that proudly, that we have as much business. It's very much more of a diversified business than what it was pre-COVID. In 2020, we had 8 Earl sites, and now we have 8 Earl sites, but 4 of them are ours across the CBD, and 4 of them are operated under license across Australia. So, and we have the other brands now as well. So again, I think it's like hospitality university. I didn't realize it, but along the way, we were learning that we had to diversify, take all the eggs out of one basket. COVID gave us a whipping for only having one basket. And now we have many baskets, many different brands.
It's amazing, the evolution and the constant evolution that you instill within the company. What sort of advice would you have for operators out there that are looking to scale like you have and consistently evolve and have success, with such slim margins? What sort of advice would you have?
Be really aware of your margins and be really good at forecasting where you think the business will be. Before we opened Golden, it was a lot of negotiation about what the concept actually could be for Golden, because knowing the turnover we would have to pay the rent that needed to be paid there, what the cost would be to get it open, all those things made it very real about what could work and what couldn't work. And hospitality has to be driven by passion, but you also need to pay rent and pay your staff and pay the ATO. So I really feel like you need to know your numbers. You need to be forecasting really well to know that if you want to take whatever the number is each day that you think you need to take to pay rent, that you can do that with the model. So are you going to sell those 100 sandwiches every day? Is that achievable for your market? Is the market for sandwiches totally flooded? Answer is yes. It's how do you diversify? Earl moved away from made-to-order sandwiches this year. We're now focusing on whole bowls, because I realised that, Hector's can have the queue out the door for the sandwiches, and that's not, that might have been how Earl started 15, 16 years ago, but it's not where our customers position us now. And I feel like there's an opportunity for us to do other things, and so we do. We have. You have to know what you're going to sell and how you can make that work for your numbers.
We've caught up quite a few times over the last 5 or 6 years on the podcast, and you've definitely changed in that time and seem so much more relaxed, even though your business is evolving so much. How much have you changed since then as your sort of involvement in the industry has changed?
I think I've changed a lot. I think I definitely know I backed myself a whole lot more. When COVID came, I think we wouldn't have spoken about it in March 2020, but we had a Coles collaboration going on at the time as well. And I look back at that time and think, oh my gosh, I was such an idiot. I didn't speak my mind enough. I didn't question them enough. I just assumed that you're dealing with a huge company like that they know everything there is to know about demographics, or, that they were asking us to do the things that were leading us all to have success. I feel like as a person, I now know so much more. I'm the person that sits at the table in hospitality and can have an opinion that I feel is quite learned and experienced, and I can get more respect, and I do have more respect for that. Melbourne is a really tough city to have hospitality in, but we are, it's our cultural identity really in Melbourne to have hospitality and cafes and food and beverage. And the fact that we've had success in this space has really given me confidence to say that as a business person, that there is something more that I can offer than just opening or dreaming up concepts for us to run. And I have been more consulting in that way, so helping other people, realise what they're, everything from I have a space or I'd like to have a space and this is what I'd like to do, to helping them refine that into a model that makes sense and will stick around.
Wow, it's amazing what you've built. What's the plans for the next couple of years for you?
Look, to be honest, I'm finding my way still with that. Trying to step out of a 16-year-old business and, hand off tasks is hard, even when you do have a great management team. And a great business partner husband that takes on more and more and is challenging himself with what he needs to do so I can step out. For me personally, I want to do more consulting. I want to do more creative tasks. I realise that I have a lot of skills in that area that I would like to keep stretching. So networking and taking myself out of that bubble of being an operator into more of the, I guess, representing myself as somebody that has skills to offer opinions about hospitality that are proven. I have a little passion project that I've been churning away on the side for a while, which is my recipes that I'm going to keep doing, which actually makes me happy that I can share my recipes with my kids and with friends that always are texting me saying, what was that cauliflower cheese? I'm like, it's cauliflower cheese, but I can tell you how I made it. Like I just keep the cauli whole and it looks really cool when it comes to the table. So just sharing recipes that I like to eat and having it so my kids can make them too. So
amazing. Well, as always, it's an absolute joy to catch up again. I can't wait to see what you do next, Jackie. Please keep in touch. We'll catch up again soon.
Thank you. You too. Thanks, Huck.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we take a deep dive into the lives of the incredible people who ply their trade in the food and hospitality sector. Special thanks to executive producer Rob Locke for making this all happen. Follow us on Instagram at Deep in the Weeds Podcast or email us at podcast@deepintheweeds.com.au. Thanks to executive producer Rob Locke for making this all happen. Stay safe and be well.